I adjusted my tie, my fingers trembling slightly as the family photographer waved us into position. 15 years of this ritual, standing shoulder to shoulder in front of some tastefully landscaped corner of the estate, pretending to be the picture of a perfect family. It used to mean something, a snapshot of everything I'd built. Now it felt like a cruel performance. "Everyone a little closer together, please," the photographer called, cheerful and clueless. I watched as Hannah, my wife of 23 years, inched toward me. It wasn't a real step, just a calculated shift of fabric and posture to make it look like she was complying. Her arms stayed tight to her side, not even a brush of contact. I didn't blame the photographer. He didn't know he was trying to choreograph ghosts. Leilani stood on her mother's other side, half turned away, thumbs flicking furiously over her phone. She hadn't looked up once since we stepped outside. I could almost pretend it was just typical teenage detachment. God knows I'd made that excuse enough times. But deep down I knew better. The gaps between us weren't made of years or teenage moods. They were made of secrets, lies. I looked at them both, my wife, my daughter, and I wondered how much of what I gave them still meant anything. The house, the cars, the school, the country club. I'd built Wilson security systems from nothing. Nights spent wiring houses myself, days chasing contracts, slowly becoming the man who could give his family everything. Everything except what I couldn't buy: respect, honesty, loyalty. "Mrs. Wilson, could you move in toward your husband?" the photographer repeated. Hannah complied with the same forced subtlety, as if she were afraid physical contact might burn her. Her jaw was tight and I could see how she held her breath when I got too close. My stomach twisted. 6 weeks ago I still believed we were just in a rough patch. Now I knew better. 6 weeks ago I found the messages on her phone. Late at night she left it on the charger in the bathroom. I'd gone in to grab Advil, that's all, but the screen lit up. "Can't stop thinking about last night," followed by a heart emoji. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. After that, I hired Christian Davis, used to work for me, still loyal, now a private investigator. It took him 3 days to confirm it. Nolan Parker, 45, tennis pro at the country club, had been sleeping with my wife in our world on our time for a year. A goddamn year. Everyone smiled. The photographer called. I smiled, or tried to. The corners of my mouth pulled up, but it felt like something was cracking under the surface. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Leilani's fingers dancing across her screen again. I didn't say anything. What was the point? Then, a vibration in my pocket. I hesitated, torn between obedience and instinct. I reached for it. "Dad, seriously?" Leilani's eyes finally left her screen. "Can you not check your phone for 5 minutes?" "Sorry," I muttered, already glancing down. The text lit up my screen. From Leilani: "You're such a loser. Mom should have left you years ago for someone better." Leilani was smirking when I looked up, as if she were proud of what she'd just sent. My pulse roared in my ears. Without a word, I turned my phone so Hannah could see the message. She barely glanced at it. And then, God help me, she high-fived our daughter. "She's right, you know," Hannah said, smiling. But there was nothing kind about it. I settled for less. It didn't even sting, not really. I think somewhere inside I'd known for a long time. The photographer, blissfully unaware of the knife being twisted in real time, chirped from behind the lens, "Great energy, folks. Just a few more." That was it. That was the moment something in me snapped. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly. Not my heart, which had been fracturing for months. No, this was something quieter, cleaner. The last thread of restraint finally cut. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my keys, and set them on the little wrought iron side table next to the garden bench. The clink of metal was barely audible, but it sounded deafening in my head, and a smile faltered. "What are you doing?" Hannah asked. I met her eyes. What I should have done a long time ago. Then I walked away, past the blooming hedges, the camera flashes, the stunned silence from the photographer, past Hannah's voice rising behind me, laced with something that almost sounded like panic. "Calvin. Calvin, come back." I didn't even turn around. In the car, I shut the door with deliberate calm. No slamming, no drama. I pulled out the second phone, the one nobody knew about, the one I'd bought the day after Christian showed me those photos. I tapped the contact labeled Athena and lifted it to my ear. "Athena," I said. "It's time. Execute Plan A." 3 hours later, I sat in a modest suite at the Cedar Glen Hotel, the soft hum of the air conditioning steady in the background. The king-sized bed sat untouched. I spent the time at the desk, methodically reviewing every document I'd prepared: bank account transfers, trust reallocations, and the finalized separation paperwork Athena had helped me draft over the past few weeks. Every just in case had become a now. My primary phone lit up again. Hannah. I ignored it. Then Leilani. Ignored. Hannah again. Silenced it after the 7th call. By midnight, it had racked up over 50 missed calls. By dawn, 85. At precisely 8 a.m., Athena Brown arrived at the Wilson residence, just as we'd planned. She'd served as our family lawyer for 15 years, handling everything from property acquisitions to Leilani's school contracts. One of the sharpest people I knew. The only one, aside from Christian, who knew the full story. Hannah answered the door in a silk robe, her face pale from a sleepless night. From the quiet of my hotel room, I watched the events unfold via a secure live feed on my laptop, an unassuming gray window labeled Wilson Home. Living room, crystal clear, courtesy of the system I designed myself. When I saw Athena standing at the front door, punctual as always, I allowed myself a single deep breath. Then I pressed record. Athena, what are you doing here? Is Calvin with you? Hannah's voice had that sharp, suspicious edge I'd grown used to over the years. May I come in? Athena asked, professional and calm. We have matters to discuss. God, she was good, controlled, clinical, the kind of person who could get you with a smile and a monogrammed legal pad. The feed showed her stepping into the house. In the background, Leilani sat at the kitchen island, pajamas rumpled, eyes glued to her phone like the world outside of it didn't exist. She didn't even glance up. They moved to the living room, my living room where I'd once sat reading bedtime stories. Now a battlefield. Where's my husband? Hannah asked once they were seated, eyes darting toward the door as if I might walk in. Mr. Wilson is safe, Athena said as she unfastened her briefcase. And he has retained my services for what's to come. She opened a sleek black folder and set it neatly on the coffee table. Before we proceed, I should inform you that this conversation is being legally recorded. That hit like a sucker punch. Recorded? What the hell is going on? Hannah's voice was already climbing. 3 months ago, Mr. Wilson asked me to prepare contingency plans for divorce. 1 month ago, he instructed me to finalize those plans. Athena's voice was steady, firm. As of 6 p.m. yesterday, all joint accounts have been frozen, and Mr. Wilson has filed for divorce on grounds of adultery. I watched the color drain from Hannah's face like someone had flipped a switch. This is ridiculous. He can't just. He can, Athena interrupted, and has. She slid another document across the table. Furthermore, he has compiled extensive evidence of your affair with Nolan Parker, including photographs, video surveillance, and hotel receipts spanning the past year. Leilani's head finally snapped up. Mom, what's she talking about? Hannah turned to her, eyes blazing. Nothing. Go to your room. Actually, Athena said without missing a beat, Leilani should stay. This concerns her too. I could see Leilani stiffen, the tension in her shoulders rising. Athena reached into her briefcase again, retrieving another folder. Mr. Wilson has also filed a petition regarding parental alienation, with evidence demonstrating your systematic efforts to turn your daughter against him, including encouraging hostile and abusive communications. Leilani's phone slipped from her fingers and clattered to the tile floor. What does that mean? She asked, her voice uncharacteristically small. It means, Athena said, her voice cool and measured, that the court will review evidence, including text messages, recorded conversations, and witness statements, indicating that your mother deliberately poisoned your relationship with your father. That's insane. Hannah shouted, springing to her feet. The smart home security system he designed, Athena said, arching a single brow, the one installed throughout this house, with microphones and cameras in every room except the bathrooms. The silence in the room was absolute. I could see it in their eyes, realization crashing over them like a wave. The system, Athena continued, that's been recording for the past 6 months. That system's illegal. Hannah whispered. But it sounded like a prayer more than an argument. Not in a home owned solely by Mr. Wilson, Athena said. And not when the recordings were triggered by security protocols he programmed. She paused and then added with finality, the system activated whenever certain phrases were spoken. Phrases like Nolan, your father, and interestingly, loser. I sat in silence, listening through the secure audio link Athena had established. Every word from her mouth struck like a gavel, measured, deliberate, undeniable. I wanted to be there in person to watch the truth unravel across Hannah's face, but I also knew Athena would handle it with more control than I ever could. This wasn't revenge. It was reckoning. From where I sat, miles away but deeply entangled in the moment, I imagined Leilani's eyes shifting from her mother to me and back again. I didn't know if she'd be angry, disappointed, or relieved. But I knew this, she'd understand. Maybe not today, but someday. Maybe in time, she'd see that this wasn't about losing a family. It was about finding a way to rebuild something real, something honest, something she deserved.